This is lesson 3-5C from the Algebra Readiness textbook. For today's lesson, you'll need your chapter 3 notes packet and a sharpened pencil. Gather your things and work these two study guide problems. Then come on back and compare your answers with mine. In number 17, we are solving m divided by 6/10. So we are going to multiply both sides of the equation by 6/10. M is all that's remaining on the left side. I need to do a side problem in order to figure out what 1 1/10 times 6/10 is. Then remember, you count up the number of digits after the decimal and move the decimal place that many places in. You get 66 hundredths. A negative times a positive is a negative answer. The next one, m divided by 4 3/10. The answer can be found by using the inverse of division, which is to multiply both sides by 4 3/10. Seven 4/10 times 4 3/10. It can be solved by doing a side problem. Now we're ready to add. Make sure you stack them all neatly. Now, I got 3182, but I need to make sure that I move the decimal place 2 places over because there are 2 digits in the problem following the decimal, and so my answer is 31 82 hundredths. To check, I could use estimation. I see that 7 4/10 is about 7, 4 3/10 is about 4, 7 times 4 is 28. 28 is pretty close to 31, and so I'm likely have the right answer. Or at least I put the decimal point in the right spot. For today, our lesson target is to be able to divide positive and negative decimals. In order to do that, we need to review the rules for dividing integers. Please write this down. If you are dividing two numbers that have the same sign, your answer will be a positive answer. 10 divided by 5 is 2. In the same way, negative 10 divided by negative 5 is a positive 2. On the other hand, if you are dividing two numbers that have different signs, you will get a negative answer. For example, negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. In the same way, 12 divided by negative 4 is also negative 3. So a negative, and if you have two different signs, your answer will be negative. Make sure that you're clear on those rules from chapter 1 so we can move on to dividing decimals. The second thing we need to do is review our rules that you learned in 6th grade for dividing decimals. The first thing you need to know is that the top number is the number that goes under the division bracket. If you need to write this down, do that. There's no shame in that. Nobody else is going to be looking at your notes, just you. And then this number is the outside number, or the divisor. So let's write this down. Some people look at it like you're just tipping the fraction over, and you get 9.375. See, and then here's your fraction bar, and then here's your 5. So you see how they just kind of tipped it over? And then they draw the line on the top. If that's a mnemonic device that helps you, please use it. Now we're ready. Now, this negative sign, I need to keep that for last. I'm going to say a positive divided by a negative is a negative answer. So I'm going to put that negative right there. I'm also going to write it right here for when I rewrite my answer at the end. Now I start dividing. Does 5 go into 9? Sure it does. It goes in exactly one time. 1 times 5 is 5. Then I subtract, and I get 4. Now, this decimal goes straight up. Do not touch the decimal. Do not bring the decimal down. Just leave the decimal right up there on the rooftop of this little bracket or this little house, this blue house I have. Leave that decimal straight up and then ignore it. Then I'm going to bring down the 3. 5 goes into 43 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. Now I subtract. I'm now going to bring down the 7. 5 goes into 37 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. Again, I subtract, and I bring down the 5. 5 goes into 25 exactly 5 times, and now it comes out even. My answer is negative 1 and 875 thousandths. But that's, okay, so let's have you pause the video and try this problem here first. Save the next problem. We'll do that one together. Then come on back and see how well you're able to do that one independently. All right, first of all, I know that a negative divided by a negative is a positive answer. So I'm going to put that little plus sign there, ready for me for later. Sometimes I get so involved in my division, I forget what I'm doing. I forget about that last step. I also like to place my decimal point right away and then ignore it. Does 4 go into 2? Nope. Does 4 go into 27? Sure it does. 5 times 4 is 20. 6 times 4 is 24. 7 times 4 is 28. That's too big. 6 times 4 is 24. 7 minus 4 is 3. Does 4 go into 35? You bet. 4 goes into 35 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. Subtract, I get 3. I'm going to bring down the 0. Does 4 go into 30? 7 times. I get 28. I subtract, and I get 2. I add a 0. Bring that 0 down. I should have been drawing these for you. 4 goes into 25 times. Notice how the 5 is stacked on top of the 0 I just wrote? Okay, so my answer is a positive 6 and 875 thousandths. Okay, now the next one. Let's do this one together. For this one, let's see if I can move it up. There we go. For this problem, your first number is the number that goes under the bracket, 4 and 43 hundredths, divided by, now, negative 0 and 6 tenths. A positive divided by a negative is a negative answer, so I put the negative in. Now, you also learned that you cannot have a decimal in your divisor. So we scooch that decimal one place to the right in both the divisor and in the number under the division bracket called the dividend. Yeah. What am I thinking? So now I'm going to put that decimal straight up now that I've scooched it over. And now we're going to forget about it. Now we're going to start with our dividing. Does 6 go into 4? Nope. Does 6 go into 44? Sure. 7 times. Subtract, and I get 2. Bring down the 3. 6 goes into 23. 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. I subtract and I get 5. Now I need to add a 0 because it didn't come out to be 0 yet. 6 goes into 50. 8 times. 8 times 6 is 48. Subtract, I get 2. Add another 0. 6 goes into 20 3 times. It's 18. I get 2. And eventually we see that I got to put another 0 down. And now I've got a repeating pattern, don't I? But what number repeats? Only the 3. So only put a bar on top of the 3. Don't put the bar on all of the stuff after the decimal. That's important. And then make sure that that answer is negative. Okay, our next problem. Let's try this one. Pause the video. Remember, the first number is the number under the decimal or under the fraction bar. Pause the video, work the problem, then come on back. All right, hopefully you've got it set up like this. You know you can't have a decimal in the divisor, so you move it one place. The decimal in a whole number follows it and isn't always written. You put the decimal in and move it also one place to the right. Now I bring the decimal straight up. Does 6 go into 5? Nope. Oh, wait, a negative divided by a positive is a negative answer, so let's put that negative so we don't forget it. Now let's go with our division. Does 6 go into 5? Nope. Does 6 go into 50? Sure, 8 times. 8 times 6 is 48. Notice that this 0 out in front doesn't matter. Then I subtract and I get 2. I bring this down. Does 6 go into 20? Sure it does. 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. Then I subtract and I get 2. Are you seeing that this is a repeating pattern? My answer is negative 8 and 3/10 repeating. Your homework is the 3-5C worksheet, where you will practice dividing positive and negative decimals. And then you can start working on your practice quiz at this time to help you get ready because not tomorrow, but the following lesson,